I think we have finished up to aphorism number 40, and it was about the third condition where we have learned that when two dissimilar, a third condition where the two dissimilar medicines meet together, they form a complex disease. Okay, the natural complex disease we have discussed, and we have discussed how in our age we are finding typhoid and malaria running their course often together, and sometimes forming a complex disease. You will find some acute diseases forming complex diseases in actual practice. Now, as the pattern goes on from the previous aphorisms, that first natural diseases have been discussed. After that, the artificial diseases produced by allopathic art is being discussed. Okay. So here in aphorism number 41, we will see that how the artificial chronic diseases making a complex disease with the this natural chronic diseases. Artificial chronic diseases are found usually due to the allopathic medical treatment. Okay, so start reading from aphorism number 41.
Is associating with and complicating one another in the same body are the morbid complications resulting from the art of the ordinary practitioner, which the inappropriate medical treatment.
Okay, you are disconnected for a time being. Now please read it again from the start.
Okay, sir. Much more
Wait a
frequent
second.
than the natural
Much
disease.
more frequent. This is the term. Much more frequent. This is the term you will get everywhere. Hahnemann is discussing about the artificial chronic diseases. More frequent, more frequent. So these are the more frequent diseases, and these are the most encountered diseases. So this much more frequent, you will get this term or this phenology everywhere. Hahnemann is discussing about the chronic disease, artificial chronic diseases. Okay, so now go on, please go on.
Much more frequent than the natural diseases associating with and complicating one another in the same body are the morbid complications resulting from the art of the ordinary practitioner, which the inappropriate medical treatment, the allopathic method, is apt to produce by the long continued employment of unsuitable drugs. To the natural disease, which it is proposed to
Underline
cure,
this: employment, long continued employment of unsuitable drugs. Underline this. Okay, morbid complication resulting from ordinary practitioner. Underline this. Now next sentence. See, this sentence is 4 line long. Next sentence.
to the natural disease, which it is proposed to cure, there are then added, by the constant repetition of the unsuitable medicinal agent, the new, often very tedious, morbid conditions, corresponding to the nature of this agent in the sixth edition, which might be anticipated from the peculiar powers of the drug. This gradually coalesce with and complicate the chronic malady which is dissimilar to them, which they were unable to cure by
Underline this.
similarity of action,
Complicate.
that is,
Underline this. Complicate the chronic malady which is dissimilar to them. And now underline this also: adding to the old disease a new dissimilar artificial malady of chronic nature. Then underline: give the patient a double in place of single disease. Underline this. Next, difficult to cure, often quite incurable. Underline this. Here the sentences end. This sentence ends here. Difficult to cure, often quite uncurable. Okay. So this is the chronic disease, natural chronic disease, complicating with the artificial chronic disease. You will heard cases of these kind. Okay, produced by drug. The famous example we often use is cases formed due to steroid, employment of steroid. Okay, patient will get a Cushing syndrome like phasis, uh, weight gain, hirsutism. What are these? These are the effects of, not often the side effects, but the bad effects, actual effects of these drugged being used, these diseases being used. Okay, so this is steroid disease. These are aspirin, diseases of aspirin. These are diseases of insulin. These are diseases of penicillin. Thankfully, these are, we are having some solution to them, but we have discussed this in treating these kind of artificial bungling, in treating these kind of complex diseases. You have to penetrate that mask they are forming over there. Okay, we have one chronic disease is coming to my mind is atrophic rhinitis, which is usually formed due to employment of nasal decongestion. Okay, there are drops which is often used, people are using over the counter. These drops are being sold, and people are using this for decongestion of the nasal mucosa and nasal blockage, to release the nasal blockage, and ultimately it is causing atrophic rhinitis, where the nasal mucosa are atrophied, and patient permanently lost their sense of smell, power of olfaction. So this is a chronic diseases, and the left which have left uncured, the nasal blockage will be there. Okay, and plus one more medicine, one more disease will be added to that. Okay, one more disease will be added to that. So we have underlined this: difficult to cure and often quite uncurable. Next.
Many of the cases for which advice is asked in medical journals, as also the records of other cases in medical writings, attest the truth of this.
Like we have
Attest
discussed,
the truth of this.
steroid diseases due to steroid diseases due to this nasal drops. Next. Next sentence, the last sentence. It is 10-line long.
This one now of a similar character.
Yes.
Of a similar character are the frequent cases in which the venereal chancrous disease, complicated especially with soda or with the dyscrasia of condylomatous gonorrhea, is not cured by long continued or frequently repeated treatment with large doses of unsuitable mercurial preparations, but assumes its place in the organism beside the chronic mercurial affection that has been in the meantime
Underline this.
gradually developed.
Underline this: venereal chancre, complicated with SORA, or with dyscrasia of gonorrhea, condylomatous gonorrhea, that is psychosis, is not cured by what? Long, continued, frequent, repeated treatment with large, unsuitable mercurial preparation. But assumes for artificial chronic disease to complicate with the natural disease, it should be stronger, larger doses. Okay, the mild allopathic treatment is not going to affect, as we have read before, the mild allopathic treatment, aphorism number 37. But what it is doing, assume its place. Natural diseases is assuming its place beside the chronic mercurial affection. Okay, assuming its place beside the chronic mercurial affection. And then what will happen? Read next.
Both. And thus along with it often forms a hideous monster of complicated disease, under the general name of masked venereal disease, which then, when not quite incurable, can only be transformed into health with the greatest difficulty.
So this is when not quite, if it is not incurable, but just masked venereal diseases like steroid diseases, we are telling that penicillin disease, steroid disease, and these diseases are curable with the tautopathic method. You are using the medicine which have caused this thing, this bad effect. To remove this bad effect, we have told that this steroid bad effect of this steroid can be removed by our medicine, adrenal cortex. We have adrenaline, adrenal cortex as medicine used for bad effect of steroid. We have penicillin in potentized form. We have insulin in potentized form. We have aspirin in potentized form. Okay. So go to footnote. Go to footnote.
For mercury, besides the morbid symptoms which by virtue of similarity can cure the venereal disease homeopathically, has among its effects many others unlike those of syphilis. For instance, swelling and ulcerations of bones in the sixth edition, which, if it be employed in large doses, cause new maladies and commit great ravages in the body, especially when complicated with soda, as is so frequently the case.
Okay, underline this. Effect many others unlike those of syphilis. Syphilis has among its effect many others unlike those of syphilis. For large doses, for small doses, if mercury was given in small doses, what would have happened? That extra symptoms mercury is having, apart from that extra symptoms mercury is having, apart from the syphilis, that will not call into play. But as it was going given in the large doses, those extra symptoms are coming and forming an artificial diseases due to large doses. We have told no, that we have given example of nux vomica. This is disease, and this is our medicine. Okay, two triangles never cover each other. Disease and medicine cannot cover each other in its whole extent. So there are some extra symptoms. There are, even how much similarity be there, there are some extra symptoms will be there, like chelidonium in Materia Medica Pura. If you will see that chelidonium has 155 symptoms, nux vomica have 1300 symptoms. All are not coming into play. Okay, this is side topic we are discussing. We have discussed elsewhere before also, but now we are telling that for mercury in the footnote that there are some symptoms which are not similar to syphilis. So in similar medicines also, if we are prescribing in similar medicine large constant large repetition of doses, where this extra symptoms will go, this extra symptom will go. If we are giving in small doses, this extra symptom will not come into play. Why it will not come into play? Give me answer. Why it will not come into play? There are
Due
3
to
points. Why it will
smallness
not?
of dose and susceptibility.
Very good. Minimum. Acha, we have
Two.
minimum dose. Okay. We have
Yes.
susceptibility of the organism, the part of that organism, and Acha, number 3 we have not discussed, no?
No,
In
sir.
156, go to 156. 156, aphorism number 156.
Yes, sir.
Go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eighth line. Eighth line.
Done
Not
away with
perceptible
by
by ninth line. Not perceptible by the patient, not excessively delicate. Okay, even if those symptoms are coming, it is not perceptible if the patient is not delicate, idiosyncratic to that medicine. Patient is not delicate. If the patient is not that much delicate and sensitive, they will not perceive those extra symptoms. Okay, those extra symptoms will not be perceived. So first point was minimum. Okay, our doses are minimum, and here artificial diseases, in artificial diseases doses are large and repeated. And next point was susceptible organism, part of the patient which was susceptible, so the only those symptoms are calling into play, only those symptoms are calling into play. 155, aphorism number 155, third line, called into play. See the line, called into play, third line. 11th line. Now go to 11th line. Excessively minute dose requisite for homeopathic use is much too weak to produce other symptoms of the medicine that are not homeopathic of the case. For the case, okay, and here you will get irritated and excited, those parts only which are susceptible, okay. And 156, you are telling that even if they are coming, they will not be perceived by the patient. If they are not, they will be in those in the slight, that much slight manner that they will not be perceived. But what is happening here in artificial chronic diseases due to large doses? So we have told that we are forming, due to our medicine, we are forming chronic artificial chronic diseases which are difficult to cure. We have given examples of herring, examples of Kent, and from our actual practice, when we are getting patients, actually why I am usually giving example of lycopodium, because I have get 2 or 3 cases of lycopodium like this in my initial practices. I was very much sure of lycopodium, but on questioning, it was found that patient was taking lycopodium for years together. So those syndrome of lycopodium was forming. Okay, in the last class, someone asked that will there be artificial disease due to homeopathy employment? Yes, there will be artificial disease due to homeopathic application of medicine if it is in large doses. Okay, if it is in large doses. That is why the minimum dose is one of the cardinal principle of homeopathy. Clear? Now I want you to go to aphorism number एकदम लास्ट की तरफ में chronic China malady के बारे में बात हुई है. Can you remember the aphorism? Last two, I think it is in 278. In 276 footnote. 276 footnote, 6th edition. Footnote, second sentence, a third sentence. A chronic China malady. A chronic China malady, coupled at the same time with the development of Sora, is produced. A chronic China malady. Why this chronic China malady have developed? Due to the application of Syncona. But it was similar. It was similar to the intermittent fever. That kind of intermittent fever. Still it is producing chronic China malady. Why? Because of the large dose. So you will get in aphorism number 276, 6th edition. See, two large doses. Are you following me? 276, 6th edition. Read it.
Two large doses of an accurately chosen homeopathic medicine, and especially when frequently repeated, bring about much trouble as a rule. They put the patient not seldom in danger of life or make this disease almost incurable. They do indeed extinguish the natural disease so far as the cessation of life principle is concerned, and the patient no longer suffers from the original disease from the moment the too strong dose of the homeopathic medicine acted upon him, but he is in consequence more ill with the similar but more violent medicinal disease which is most difficult to destroy.
Okay, underline which is more difficult to destroy. So this is the aphorism where two large dose. That is why the minimum dose is the cardinal principle of homeopathy. Two large dose, underline. Repeated frequently, underline. Bring about much trouble as a rule, underline. Danger of life or make this disease almost incurable. Danger of life or make this disease almost incurable. But when this happens, the patient is no longer suffering from the artificial disease. He is now suffering from the natural disease. He is now suffering from the artificial disease produced due to the similar medicine. Okay. And in a footnote, chronic China malady have been discussed. And here you can share your own example where you that I have shared the lycopodium medicinal disease produced by lycopodium. Okay, often repeated. And for artificial disease, we have read that mild allopathic treatment Same wise, mild homeopathic treatment is not going to produce the artificial disease for so long. Artificial disease is produced, but it is not sustainable because of the minimum dose. But if it is repeated again and again, then the artificial disease of similar nature will be formed, which is equally incurable. Okay? Equally incurable. So this masked venereal disease in artificial diseases, what we have read, artificial disease. Okay? Artificial disease, what we have read, this may be of acute type. This may be of acute type. Okay, sorry. First, see, this may be of similar type. Artificial disease may be of similar type. Okay, and this may be of dissimilar type. Dissimilar type. Artificial diseases may be of similar type, may be of dissimilar type. For the similar type, for each they may be of acute nature, of chronic nature. For each they may be of acute nature and chronic nature. Okay. For the similar type, we are giving example of chronic China malady. We are giving example of our practices, example from our practices. For the dissimilar type, we are given examples what Hahnemann has given. Here, masked venereal diseases are also, you can put it in similar type also or dissimilar type also. Okay, masked venereal disease. Why in dissimilar type? Because by the virtue of mercury, by the virtue of its dissimilar symptoms, in the footnote of this, in the footnote of 41, 6th edition, that by the virtue of its extra symptoms. So mercury can be put in dissimilar or similar type. Now each of these can be acute and can be chronic. Clear? Each of these can be acute and can be chronic. Okay, acute artificial diseases of similar nature produced in homeopathy, which will go on and cure, which cure the natural disease and will extinguish by itself. Okay, acute artificial diseases are formed during our employment of homeopathic remedy. Okay, now come to have you any question till now? Do you have any question till now? So here we will rest our case of artificial diseases. Okay, artificial diseases can be produced by homeopathy, can be produced by allopathy, but most frequently it is being produced by allopathy. But as we are practicing more like allopaths nowadays, so with the homeopathy it is easier to see those artificial diseases. Now go to aphorism number 42.
Nature herself permits, as has been stated, in some cases, the simultaneous occurrence of two, indeed of three natural diseases in one and the same body. This complication, however, it must be remarked, happens only in the case of two dissimilar diseases, which according to the eternal laws of nature do not remove, do not annihilate, and cannot cure one another. But, as it seems, both or all three remain as it were separate in the organism, and each takes possession of the parts and symptoms peculiarly appropriate to it, which on account of the want of resemblance of these maladies to each other can very well happen without disparagement to the unity of life.
Underline on account of want of similarity to each other. If these are not similar, if these medicines are not similar, they will exist. They cannot cure, they cannot annihilate, and they cannot remove. एक ही बात है. They cannot remove, annihilate, or cure each other because of dissimilar in nature. Because of eternal law of nature, only similar medicine can cure and annihilate. Similar disease can cure and annihilate each other. When dissimilar diseases meet in the body, three things happen. Three conditions may happen. First condition we have discussed, second condition we have discussed, and the third and the last condition we have discussed, that they, after acting long, how far they are going to suspend each other. After acting long, they form a complex or double complex disease. Okay. Okay. So two or three diseases which are dissimilar can remain in the body. Clear? Now, 43.
Totally different, however, is the result when two similar diseases meet together in the organism. That is to say, when to the disease already present, a stronger similar one is added. In such cases, we see how a cure can be effected by the operations of nature, and we get a lesson as to how man out to cure.
This out is the old English, that is must. That out to means must. Man must cure. Okay. Now add underline stronger similar one is added. Stronger similar one is added. Now from here onward, the discussion will go on to the what will happen when two similar disease meet together. Okay, from here onward. So what type of aphorism it is? Aphorism number 43 is the Bhumika aphorism, which is making a introduction, a preamble, a preface to the next 2-3 aphorisms. You will get this type of Bhumika aphorism where Hahnemann used to make a preamble for the following 4-5 aphorisms. Okay, so what will happen when two similar disease meet together? That was the cases from aphorism number I think from aphorism number 35 was the Bhumika aphorism for the what will happen when two dissimilar disease meet together. For 36, in 36 natural disease have discussed. In 7 allopathic artificial disease, mild artificial diseases meet with the natural diseases discussed. In 38 the natural disease dissimilar, the second condition. In 37 artificial disease. In 38 third condition complex, forming a complex. Okay, sorry, in 40 forming a complex. In 41 artificial disease forming a complex disease with the natural disease. Now this 42 is summing up. Okay, you will get aphorisms of summing up what have already told. Okay, you will get aphorisms of preamble, aphorisms of Bhumika, which is what is going to be told. Okay, so 42 is summing up above what have been told above, and now from aphorism number 43 is giving a preface to what is coming down. Okay, what will happen when two similar disease meet together? Okay, number 44.
Two diseases similar to each other, two similar diseases in the sixth edition, can neither, as is asserted of dissimilar disease in case in one, repel one another, nor suspend one another, so that the old one shall return after the new one has run its course. And just as little can two similar diseases exist beside each other in the same organism or together form a double complex disease.
This was the third condition. Third condition exists beside. Repel, underline repel, suspend, exist beside each other. This cannot be happen. Okay, either in the same organism, two or together form a double complex disease. What is double complex disease? What is double complex disease?
The two diseases exist together.
Okay, what is complex
in the
disease?
same body.
What is complex disease?
It's same as complex disease and double complex disease.
Yes.
Both are same.
Yes, that is the point. That is the point I want to impress upon you, that you will get in your examination questions double complex diseases as if it is something different. You will get questions on complex disease. Also, this is happened quite often in West Bengal Health University examination, that in the same paper they will ask double complex diseases and complex diseases as if they are some separate entity, but they are not. They are same. Okay, double complex and complex diseases, not only existing beside each other but forming a totally sometime that taking their or their preferred parts, like tubercular diathesis. What is tubercular? What is tubercular diathesis? It is nothing but the mixture of sora and syphilis, where sora is taking its own part, syphilis is taking its own part. Or you can say, according to JHLN, that tubercular may be sora syphilis or sora psychosis. Okay, so this double complex disease is nothing but complex disease. Now go to have you underlined repel, suspend, and exist beside? These three conditions can never be happen when two similar disease meets. Okay, and this is also the thing when the new similar disease which is coming is not stronger. Okay, that is why we have underlined the stronger one, a stronger similar one is added in the last aphorism. Stronger, the point is stronger should be there. The medicine you are employing should be stronger than the natural disease. Okay, so that is what we have read in aphorism number 34. Greater strength of the artificial disease, greater strength. Two conditions should be there: greater strength and similar nature to cure. Greater strength and similar nature. Okay, that is why sometime you are unable to cure with a similar medicine if your dose is not adjusted. Okay, if your dose is not adjusted to the susceptibility of the patient, that is a different thing. We will come, but you should remember that the artificial disease you are trying to create in a body of similar nature should be stronger than the natural disease which is already there. That is where the knowledge of dose comes. Okay, knowledge of doses comes. Clear? Now go to aphorism number 45.
No, two diseases differing, it is true in kind, but very similar in their phenomena and effects, and in the sufferings and symptoms they severely produce, invariably annihilate one another whenever they meet together in the organism. The stronger disease, namely, annihilates the weaker, and that for the same reason, because the stronger morbific power, when it invades the system, by reason of its similarity of action, involves precisely the same parts of the organism that were
Underline
previously
this.
affected.
Underline this, involves precisely the same part of the organism.
That were previously affected by the weaker morbid irritation, which consequently can no longer act on these parts, but is extinguished. Or, in
Why to
other
note?
words, because
Go on, please go on. Please go on.
or or because whenever the vital force rearranged by the primary disease is more strongly attacked by the new, very similar but stronger dynamic morbific power, it therefore now remains affected by the latter alone, whereby the original, similar but weaker disease must, as a mere dynamic power without material substratum, cease to exercise any further morbid influence on the vital force. Consequently, it must cease to exist.
Okay, so same thing have been added in the 6th edition. No need to write that. You can take it as a modus operandi in a short form. What is happening when the two similar diseases are meeting, but the new similar disease should be the stronger. Mark the word stronger everywhere. Okay, whenever anyone is saying stronger, mark that. Now go to 46. Some examples you can write here. Examples of cured by similar disease. Read it. Aphorism number 46.
Many examples might be adduced of diseases which, in the course of nature, have been homeopathically cured by other diseases presenting similar symptoms. Were it not necessary, as our object is to speak about something determinate and indubitable, to confine our attention solely to those few diseases which are invariably the same, arise from a fixed miasm, and hence merit a distinct name.
Underline
Among these
this.
is more.
Underline this. There are many examples can be given in nature, but we are giving examples from the fixed miasm, which are we have dealt with the fixed miasm if while dealing with the specific medicines. Okay, symptoms are fixed, so we are fixing the medicine. So fixed miasms, examples of only fixed miasm. What are fixed miasms? Whose symptoms are same. This may be recurring and non-recurring. Okay, what are recurring? Which are recurring throughout the lifetime of individual. These are recurring fixed miasm. Okay, and what are non-recurring? Which is only affecting once in a lifetime to the individual. That is non-recurring fixed miasm. Both can be fixed miasm can be both recurring and non-recurring. Why it is being called fixed? Because the symptoms are fixed. Okay, so fixed miasm can be recurring and non-recurring. What we have already read in aphorism number 73 while dealing with the specific and fixed miasms, those things, acute miasm and fixed miasm. In the previous classes we have dealt with that. So here only examples of fixed miasms are given. So just I am telling. Next, smallpox. First fixed miasm example, smallpox. These examples are given in paragraph. Examples of smallpox. How your duty, your assignment will be to just underline smallpox and what it has cured. Okay, what it has cured by virtue of its similarity. Okay, read it in your leisure time. Now come to this accessory miasm. Accessory miasm. Where the example number 7. Example number 7. The inoculated cowpox whose lymph beside the protective matter contains the contagion of a general cutaneous eruption of another nature. Just read it. Accessory miasm. This is short note in your examination. Undergraduate, both undergraduate and postgraduate. Often you will get your MCQ from here also. In which aphorism Hahnemann discussed accessory miasm. So accessory miasm is not necessarily with the cowpox only. You can adduce this accessory like peculiar miasm, like fixed infectious miasm. This accessory miasm can be given to any other disease. Okay, but here in context of cowpox, Hahnemann is discussing accessory miasm. Why this has been discussed? Because cowpox. Read it. Just read it. Then we will discuss.
The inoculated cowpox, whose lymph, besides the protective matter, contains the contagion of a general cutaneous eruption of another nature, consisting of usually small, dry, rarely large pustular pimples, resting on a small red areola, frequently conjoined with round red cutaneous spots and often accompanied by the most violent itching, which rash appears in
underline
not
up to
a few.
this, from general cutaneous to violent itching. Underline this. This is your definition of what is accessory miasm. This is peculiar nature of the cowpox lymph. What was used for vaccination of smallpox? It was cowpox lymph was used. Means cowpox contagious matter was used for the inoculation of smallpox as a vaccination for smallpox. So beside, whenever this vaccine was given, this cowpox was given to a healthy person who was suffering from this peculiar kind of skin eruption, it was cured. This vaccination not only preventing the smallpox, this vaccination was also curing that peculiar skin eruption already present in that organism. Got it? Because of this accessory property of the cowpox lymph. Let me give you some illustration. This is our man going to be vaccinated. Okay, this is our cowpox lymph. What it will do by cowpox lymph, by virtue of its similarity with the smallpox, it will, by virtue of its similarity with smallpox, it will prevent it. Smallpox, it will prevent it. Okay, by virtue of its similarity, but it have an extra property. What is extra property? This extra property is the peculiar cutaneous eruption. Okay, if this given to that man and this man has this peculiar cutaneous eruption, that will gone, that will be gone. Okay, if this man has not, if this man has not, if this man has not, then what it will do? It will produce. It will produce because it is extra property. It will produce some. If this man produce some property of a smallpox, so preventing a smallpox, cowpox, and it will produce this cutaneous eruption to that man. Okay, this is called extra property of that cowpox lymph. Accessory miasm. Any extra property to any medicine, any disease, extra property, you can adduce this term accessory miasm. For our theoretical purpose, you will need to remember this In aphorism number 46, it has been discussed. In what context it has been discussed? Clear? Okay. Please complete it. Please complete it.
Which rash appears in not a few children several days before, more frequently, however, after the red areola of the cowpox, and goes off in a few days, leaving behind small red hard spots on the skin. The inoculated
Next.
cowpox, I say, the inoculated cowpox, I say, after it has taken cures perfectly and permanently in a homeopathic manner by the similarity of this accessory miasm. Analogous cutaneous eruptions of children, often of very long standing and of a very troublesome character, as a number of observers assert.
Okay. So this we have discussed. Now go to one paragraph before. One paragraph before the smallpox.
Smallpox coming on after vaccination, as well on account of its greater strength as its great similarity, at once removes entirely the cowpox homeopathically and does not permit it to come to maturity. But, on the other hand, the cowpox, when near maturity, does, on account of its great similarity, homeopathically diminish very much the supervening smallpox and make it much milder, as Mohri and many others testify.
Okay, this is the smallpox and cowpox, very similar to each other, so they are preventing each other. Okay, now you will get an asterisk and read that footnote which have been included in the 6th edition. That is nothing but the support of vaccination. Go, please read.
This seems to be the reason for this beneficial remarkable fact, namely that since the general distribution of Jenner's cowpox vaccination, human smallpox never again appeared as epidemically or virulently as 40 to 50 years before, when one city visited lost at least one half and often three-quarters of its children by death of this miserable pestilence.
So you are getting a support of vaccination here. Okay, homeopaths are divided on the use of vaccine. Okay, this could be a question in your Viva examination, that or in your theory examination, especially to those who are in their postgraduate examination, that how far you are going to support this vaccination. So please share your view on vaccination. Those who are present here, please share your view on vaccination. This Hanneman is supporting vaccination here. Okay, Hanneman is supporting vaccination. A sort of support of vaccination, you can say, is given here. But we are getting literatures in our homeopathy that bad effect of vaccination. Okay, so what should be a method? Means when the vaccine should be allowed and when it should not be allowed. Any views?
Vaccination is also a concept of homeopathically. It is the concept taken from the homeopathic part.
Okay, concept is taken from homeopathy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now go to 56. You have added a new point, but you cannot say Jenner have copied homeopathy, but he just discovered it that this cowpox was those maids who were dealing with the those cowboys were not getting this smallpox because they were suffering from, means they were inoculated with this cowpox virus. So he started his means vaccination experiments and he developed this thing. You cannot say this concept was taken from homeopathy exactly. You can say that similar Jenner was working on this individually. Two people were working on this individually. That Jenner discovered this vaccination and homeopathy was discovered by Hanneman. Go to aphorism number 56, footnote. Aphorism number 56, 6th edition, footnote. Second part, second paragraph.
A third mode of employing medicines in diseases has been attempted to be created
Second paragraph of that.
to attempt to cure by means of the very same morbific potency or item contradicts all normal human understanding and hence all experience. Those who first brought isopathy to notice probably thought of the benefit which mankind received from cowpox vaccination, by which the vaccinated individual is protected against future smallpox infection, and as it were cured in advance. But both
Underline this. This is again a support of vaccination. Underline this. Benefit which mankind, and note this is in the 6th and final edition of Hahnemann's Organon. So there is a sort of support of vaccination. Now read next.
But both cowpox and smallpox are only similar, in no way the same disease. In many respects, they differ.
Underline this. What we have read in Nature's Law of Cure, differ in kind and similar in manifestation. Differ in kind and similar in manifestation. Okay. Now go on reading.
In many respects, they differ, namely in the more rapid course and mildness of the cowpox, and especially in this, that it is never contagious to man by mere nearness. Universal vaccination put an end to all epidemics of that deadly fearful smallpox to such an extent that the present generation does no longer possess a clear conception of the former frightful smallpox plague. Moreover, in this way...
Wait here. So it is again a concept, a support of vaccination. But here, they think those who are bringing, it is discussion about isopathy. Hahnemann is saying those who think that isopathy can be used, they are using this kind of vaccination. Okay, so Hahnemann is not telling that vaccination was taken from homeopathy, but it was an individual work of Jenner. Okay, we have to appreciate it that it was an individual work and experiment of Jenner that he developed this vaccination. Okay, this is number one. That vaccination is not taken from homeopathy, not copied from homeopathy, but we can take it as our support that this is what in vaccination is happening. Nowadays, at that time, cowpox was being used for smallpox. Nowadays, how vaccines are prepared? Vaccines are prepared from weakened natural organism which is producing that. Okay, it is either produced by that serum of that organism or the nucleus of that organism, RNA of that organism, DNA of that organism, or the whole organism with weakened properties. So it is making a differing in kind. Okay, we are not inoculating the same organism in the same potency. We are weakening it. So it is differing in kind and similar in manifestation. That is the point you have added, Sunil, and we have discussed it. But my question was whether you will support vaccination or not. Say corona vaccine, COVID vaccine, whether you are supporting it or not. And what about our vaccinosis theory by Barnett? Vaccinosis. Have you heard about that? Vaccinosis.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So my question is whether you are supporting vaccine or not. If yes, why? If not, why?
Yes, sir.
If you are telling something, you are not audible, Sunil.
Yes, sir. I am supporting vaccination because in our homeopathically it is not possible, क्योंकि homeopathically तो हमें हर केस में इंडिविजुअलाइजेशन करना पड़ेगा और उसके बेस पे ही हम एक स्पेसिफिक मेडिसिन दे सकते हैं उस पर्टिकुलर एपिडेमिक में, और
ठीक है,
उन्होंने जो
प्रिवेंशन के लिए प्रिवेंशन के लिए हमने पूछा, प्रिवेंशन के लिए वैक्सीन सपोर्ट करता है होम्योपैथी और नॉट? This may be a question in your viva or in your interviews in the job. The vaccine is supported, so your view should be that everything which have been discovered in modern medicine are tend to abuse. Okay, if vaccine is being abused, it should not be allowed. Okay, our concept should be, if the disease is, which should weigh, you should weigh what you should weigh. You should weigh the disease, how dreaded the disease is, and how dreaded the vaccine is. Okay, वैक्सीन लेके कोई अंधा हो जा रहा है ना? वैक्सीन, ऐसा वैक्सीन हम प्रोड्यूस किए कि उसको लेके वो आदमी अंधा हो जा रहा है. ओके, बट डिजीज ऐसा है कि वैक्सीन अगर नहीं लेगा, आई एम गिविंग एन हाइपोथेटिकल एग्जाम्पल. ओके, डिजीज ऐसा है कि अगर वो वैक्सीन नहीं लेगा तो आदमी मर ही जाएगा. ओके, अगर वो डिजीज उसको हुआ तो वो मर जाएगा. देयर इज 100% मोर्टेलिटी रेट इन दैट डिजीज, लाइक रेबीज. ओके, rabies vaccines have so many side effects, but one of the good effect is that it is 100% preventing rabies. ओके, कुत्ता काट लिया, अब उसको रेबीज होना ही होना है, और रेबीज होगा तो मर जाएगा. अगर कुत्ता रेबिड था और उसने उसको काट लिया एक आदमी को, अब उसको अगर रेबिड होना ही होना है, एंड दैट डिजीज इज कैरिंग द रिस्क ऑफ 100% मोर्टेलिटी, इन दैट केस वैक्सीन इज एडवाइजेबल, even if this vaccine is having any side effect. Okay, but consider the disease is typhoid. Okay, the disease is typhoid. We are giving vaccines for typhoid. Okay, but this is actually not necessary to give. The typhoid vaccines often are ineffective. Even after the vaccines with typhoid, the typhoid will occur. Okay, in this case a vaccine should not be given. So disease is polio. Disease is, you say, polio. You will get very wonderful book, history of polio, how the generations have suffered from polio. But after advent of this polio vaccine, it is completely under control. Okay, so in this case vaccine should be given. Disease is chicken. Okay, in this case vaccine is needed or not? Chicken pox is not a dreaded disease. Okay, after vaccination chicken pox will sometime occur, so vaccine in this case should not be given. So we have to weigh the how dreaded the disease is and how dreaded the vaccine is. Okay, so disease is, if disease is much dreaded, there is no need of giving a vaccine, but if disease is dreaded one, the vaccine will be advised. That is should be our concept. But here you will get, nowadays you will get so many children are vaccinated, over vaccinated. You will get vaccines of influenza, you will get vaccines of rotavirus, you will get vaccines of typhoid, vaccines of chickenpox, vaccines of encephalitis. Where encephalitis vaccine should be there? Where the encephalitis is prevalent. Okay, like in Gorakhpur, like in Muzaffarpur, like area where this encephalitis, acute encephalitis is prevalent, and in that area only this encephalitis vaccine should be given, not everywhere. Okay, rotavirus, no need to give everywhere. Even the rotavirus infection is there, it can easily be controlled. Okay, it is not that much dreaded, so these vaccines are not needed. There are two books by Harris Coulter, on the bad effect of vaccination, what these over vaccination is producing. He is arguing there that this over vaccination, we are not against vaccination, but we are against over vaccination. Why this over vaccination is happening? Because of ignorance of modern school, that they are thinking they can prevent every disease with their vaccines. And because of these pharma companies, okay, you will get that each time the child is vaccinated, it is of 2000 or 3000 vaccine cost around 2 to 3000, that pentavalent vaccine, tetravalent vaccine. So these pharma companies are using these vaccine programs to utilize their business, to grow up their business. So we should educate our patient that yes, vaccine is necessary. Diphtheria, so dreaded disease it was, that mortality rate was so high. So diphtheria, that diphtheria vaccines are given, and now it is less and less. Have you I don't think that you people have seen cases of diphtheria, okay, but in particular institutions like id hospital, when in we were in ID hospital, we have cases during our internship, infectious disease hospital. We have cases, seen cases, 1 or 2 cases of diphtheria, 1 or 2 cases of rabies also. Okay, so these diseases are very much less nowadays because of this vaccination. Pertussis, one of the dreaded disease. Tetanus, okay, tetanus vaccine is necessary. The death is so dreaded in tetanus cases that if the vaccine is given, it is 100% preventable. So you should weigh the dread of disease, how much dreaded the disease is, and what are the side effects of vaccines is. Like nowadays of COVID, you can say of same thing in COVID, that vaccine is necessary or not. Okay, vaccine, when the vaccine is necessary and for whom the vaccines are necessary, you can say like that. But vaccine, we are, homeopathy is not against vaccination. Okay, we have medicines which are used for bad effect of vaccination, and the medicine which led them all is Thuja. Burnett's Thuja is leading the all medicines on the bad effect of vaccine. Okay, I will share 2 books PDF of Harris Coulter, that is A Shot in the Dark and Vaccine, a criminal to the society, like that. Okay, these 2 books are very much helpful to understand what these vaccines are doing. Unnecessary vaccines are not propagated or not advised in homeopathy, but we support vaccination, like Hahnemann have supported vaccination at 2 places here in Organon of Medicine. Okay, clear? That is for the vaccination. Now some examples are given here in the aphorism number 46. Read it by yourself, just underline those which disease is curing what, just underline. Okay, and 47 and 48 aphorism is just summing up those which have been discussed. And we will start from 49 onward next day when we meet. Any question you are having? So let us close the class for today, and we will meet next day, same time. Thank you for giving your
Thank you,
attention for
sir.
1 hour.